Thanks for joining us for our Elko Live program today here on KELK. Well, it's a bittersweet day. We always love getting together with our friends who manage our public lands from the Bureau of Land Management, Elko District. But today is bittersweet because it's Gerald Dixon's last radio show with us, at least in this aspect of his career. And Gerald, welcome to the program. Among the reports that we're going to have today, the news is some changes in personnel, Gerald, and we're all excited for you on embarking on a new adventure, but it means that you're departing Elko District.
Yep, that's right. So I'll start off with some personnel changes, which indeed include myself. One, I'll go, a little bit up the chain. Marcy Todd, our Deputy State Director, there in Reno, she's retired. Last pay period was her last pay period with us. Miss Kim Prill, she's from Montana Dakota's BLM. She will be our new Deputy State Director, just started. I just downloaded with her. So that's a big change at that upper leadership level. Melanie Mitchell, she's our Wells Field Manager, been here just as long as about I have, same as myself. She is going to the Office of Ocean Energy Management, which I had to look up because it is a bureau under the Department of Interior, and we just don't see here, of course, right? We don't see a lot of attention with that. So, it's a promotion for her. So good luck to her. And of course, myself, moving on. And, I'll honestly tell folks that 27 years I've done BLM, all Nevada BLM, all the BLM time with about 6 years of Forest Service in Eastern Oregon. But it was an eye-opener that I've got that many years in. Initially, I meant to do 20 and then look, something what's beyond federal service. But 27 coming out of federal service, I'm not going, everyone's asking, what are you doing? What are you going into? And it's kind of odd because I'm not going into anything. I'm considering myself after January 12th, my last day, kind of to be a free agent. So it's the nature of the position and the authorities that I have don't allow me to actively be recruited or for me to actively pursue, because BLM's so connected in just about everything we do here local, and we don't want to move. We're here, we're home, this is where I was raised and we want to stay, but to go from here, general schedule, GS, that's our pay scale. I'm a 14. To do a 15 just about anywhere, you got to move to the Portlands, the Renos, the Denvers, the DCs, and we don't want to do that. So it hit that time to where, it's time to kind of pull the plug and see what's next. But I can't have a huge detailed what's next until after I leave the position and the title that I have with those authorities. So.
Well, Gerald, we just cannot begin to describe the impact that you've had in this position, in this agency. As you mentioned, you're from here, and that's so important to the people that care so much for our natural resources and our wildlife and our cultural issues, and you have exhibited that at every level, and this has made a deep difference in our relationships with community partners and with government relations, Gerald. So, yeah. So I'm sure at the same time, it's sort of highlighted places where your type of perspective could also be utilized in the future. So hopefully you'll be back on the radio at some point, or at least telling us if you are deciding to do something else.
Certainly. I'd love to still be in some type of community service, natural resources, community relations, things like that. I still want to be present and, at least available to serve more, public service. I enjoy that, but at a different level or different arena, let's say. Yep,
after a near 30-year career that I believe started in fire. Is that right?
Fire, 1995, yep.
Yeah. So it can all start right there with some of those seasonal positions that we talk about often here on Elko Live. So again, after a near 30-year career, Gerald is retiring here in just a matter of days, but with family will be staying in Elko. And too soon to talk about an interim replacement for you?
Yeah, that's right. So we'll have a detailer behind me starting January 28th. I wish I could announce the name, but they're still working through that process. About 4 months. The permanent, I believe, had an extension to that vacancy announcement, recently closed. So it could be a number of months before permanent vice me is in place, but certainly we'll have a detailer by January 28th.
And you may have said this, but how long were you in Elko in this position?
Gosh, let's see. I think I started May 2020 in this particular district manager's position, but I had been back since 2019-ish into the Wells field manager, which Melanie has for another week for herself. So yeah.
Yep, again, making a huge difference in rural Nevada. And so this departure, obviously, as you talked about, will leave some great accomplishments with a legacy of, team building, enhancing relationships and confidence and trust in the community. Some of the things that you're most proud of, Gerald?
Yeah, so when I'll just say, when I interviewed, there was one specific question I had. And that was the question. And I had to speak to it for 40 minutes. And it was, if I hire you, what are you going to do for the Elko district, Elko area, and how are you going to do it? And I kind of laid out the way I operate, business plan, rules, order structure, everything to a source document. At the time, my boss, State Director John Raby, seemed to enjoy that. He obviously did. He hired me. But that really was the assignment going forward, was business acumen and bring back, and not that it didn't exist, but we really needed it enhanced with all that's going on in natural resources. That we're industry dependent, our community, we're dependent on natural resources, mineral resources and such, grazing, really diverse, and a lot was being accomplished. Now we really tuned it toward what were the state director's priorities, all the way up from the national, state down to us, and could really demonstrate what we're producing for the dollars that we're given. So I was always really comfortable with having like a diverse program of work, and I could show the public, taxpayers, anybody, what I'm doing with the funds we get.
Especially in developing, as you said, those natural resources from geothermal to mining, certainly as you talked about the grazing, which is, a renewable versus non-renewable resource in the community. And there's always that spotlight or focus, if you will, on the wild horse issue. And even lately, lithium has come up in the Elko district.
Yeah, that's right. So if I can highlight a few, those big projects and initiatives. Of course, the horse deal, we do have quite a few of them. So we really have the two big complexes, they're called. So it's herd management areas, HMAs, smaller. You compile a bunch into a complex. So there's the Antelope Complex, that's kind of south of Wendover and Wells. Oahe Complex is in that far northwestern corner. That's shared with Winnemucca. Antelope shared with Ely District. We're at AML for Oahe, so I think we're okay for a while there with our numbers. Still got to maintain, of course, but it's the Antelope Complex where we're really hitting hard. Been pretty consecutive. I think we estimated about 3, and there's some overlap with other areas, but 3 big gathers we've done, myself, Melanie leading up a lot of that in the Antelope Complex with Ely. Still a lot of horses to gather. That's no doubt we still have to do that, but in a strange way, we're in kind of a competitive environment. So I say, you got to have the NEPA coverage to do a gather, to conduct a gather, which we have. 2, you have to have holding space, and 3, you have to have the budget. So, I often mention the BLM Nevada State Director Raby has a 5-year wild horse plan, which is a really good plan, but again, the funding and the holding space is what your limitations are. We've been awfully competitive getting those resources to hold our gathers at Antelope. So we're busy, no one's still working on the horse issue, but.
And it's not a single agency issue, right? As we heard during the Wednesday, January 3rd County Commission meeting, Gerald, NDOW was kind of called out a bit, if you will, by the county governing board about participating in wild horse management or information. Sure.
So yeah, I talk about the quote, the package, right? So to make the national gather schedule, we all submit kind of a package. It contains a bunch of different items. And like I said, it's unfortunate, but we have to compete with, 60, 70 plus other districts that may have horses. And they're all urgent, they're all expedited, and sometimes dire situations in case of drought. There's emergency gathers, planned gathers, and only a limited source of budget, like I said, holding space. But I tell you, it does go a long way when we have partner support. People that are publicly stating, making the statements that they do, or a letter of support to hold these gathers. It does have an impact, and NDOW certainly is one of our strongest supporters in the wild horse arena.
And just to put it in perspective, I think Wildy said at the meeting we have about 60% of the West wild horse population in Nevada. And so we're overrun, if you will, by, maybe tens of thousands of animals right now. I don't know if the Elko, not just the Elko district, obviously.
So, yeah, I can't speak to the state. I don't know those statistics, but certainly Elko district, like I mentioned, the antelope complex, which again we do share with Ely district, but I think that high AML is about 900 horses. And we estimate, maybe 5,800 to 6,000 horses out there. So, yeah, I could easily do 3 years in a row, 2,000 horses target every year.
And we already have 120,000 in holding nationwide?
I don't know that figure.
Okay, and that obviously that may be an old figure that I'm referring to, but yeah, I know when Neil Cornsey, who is also a local, left National BLM service in his role, he said that wild horses would soon become $1 billion annual problem. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's 3/4 of that national budget is long-term holding and basically feed, water, and care of horses that spend the rest of their days in big pastures and. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Gerald Dixon is our guest, and he is outgoing Elko district manager for the BLM in our community. We're talking about some of the big issues as he's getting ready to depart. Of course, wild horses is just one. Resource development is something that you're also pretty proud of.
Yeah. Yeah, so I did want to mention a few others. So, we've seen in the media, newspaper, like a lot of focus on lithium. That Thacker Pass was an extremely popular and a lot of conflict there, that we've seen. Elko, I did want to clarify, and I've done in some other arenas as well, that we do have, folks interested in lithium, a couple companies, mostly in the Wells district under Melanie, but it's all like notice level exploration. So there's a difference between notice level under 5 acres versus a plan. So if they find something a good target, they may or may not submit a plan to develop, or not to develop, to explore, which would lead to, if they really find something, target it, then you'd see a development plan. So we don't have, any big EA or big EIS for lithium mines in Nevada. It's all under notice level, very early work that folks are doing. So,
but we certainly have gold mining, and that's ramped up during your time.
Yeah, so I did want to mention another one project that we have. So I think, people know that we have a lot of really big mines in the area. Carlin Trend, you've got, the mine there in White Pine County.
Kinross?
Yeah, I believe that's Kinross, right? Bald Mountain?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
down the way. All of those big mines, however, are just on the other side of the county line into Eureka and White Pine. So we do have a newer project that we've actually been doing preliminary work for a couple of years before we kick off, the NEPA work. But Orla Mining, newer company, I think folks have seen them around. South Railroad Project, that's here just south of us between, Pine Mountain and Carlin city itself. But that's a big project we're working on, newer, and it's in Elko County. So that's where that exciting part comes from in the community. Is it's really one of the first in a long time actually in Elko County. It's all been Eureka and White Pine County, even though people base home-wise and business-wise out of Elko.
Yeah, this is the first time we could realize a significant financial impact from the mine proceeds.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see, I also wanted to mention a couple of other firsts for us. So, there's a lot of focus, solar, mostly down south. There's a band, big open sun. But the way I understand it, the way the technology is now, that you can put a lot more out there with a smaller footprint with the different technology. So Rooster's Comb Solar, that's between us and Winnemucca District, just kind of northwest of Battle Mountain. That's a new project that the Tuscarora Field Office will be working on this year. I also wanted to mention Crescent Valley Geothermal Development Plan, again in Tuscarora Field Office. They'll be working on that. That's in that Crescent Valley, Beowawe area, active project.
Is that to facilitate mining?
No, that's all geothermal energy.
Okay.
Yeah, so
could be exported.
It hits the grid. I mean, all of it hits the grid and goes somewhere. And, Yep.
Okay, cool.
That's
Then
right.
These are big. Yeah.
Yeah, solar, geothermal. Of course, I mentioned South Railroad Mining, gold mine, new gold mine, Elko County. I also wanted to mention the Elko Lamoille Mountain Bike Trail. Again, another Tuscarora project. Elizabeth Puentes, she's the field manager. She's staying, she's here, she's solid, so she'll be working on that. We do have partners in the community, secured some grants to work on the NEPA, and we're actually chasing through IRA, so Inflation Reduction Act funds, to get to the funding for the implementation. That's a 50-mile looping trail system that's between Elko, Lamoille, and South Fork Reservoir. And I just want to clarify, because I know there's been discussions in the community about like a hard top along the right-of-way between Elko and Spring Creek. This isn't it. This isn't that. It's still a bike trail, but this is the mountain bike trail. Still would allow hiking and equestrian, and it's 50 miles of loop in that general area, if you can imagine that triangle map. I don't have the map with me, but so that one will be working on. And again, there's been funding secured for the NEPA. We're chasing the NEPA fund, or the design funding, and NEPA has been secured. We're chasing the implementation construction funds. Lastly, I also wanted to mention a lot going on. So I mentioned IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, GOA, Great American Outdoor Act, and now BUILD, that's the bipartisan infrastructure law. A lot of funding sources are coming to the various federal agencies, and I believe our portfolio in all three of those is the largest in the state of Nevada. So what people are going to see in the future, for IRA, it's primarily in existing grants, agreements, contracts that we have in landscape restoration and habitat restoration. So you'll see a big focus on the hot and cutthroat trout projects, fuels reduction, veg management treatments. We have a whole portfolio, a list of about 15 projects we submitted. All of them got approved to the tune of about $6 million. So if you see signs up, we have to have signs with these project areas. Please don't shoot them up, and we're going to try to be mobile, but anything's a target, and if it's certainly coming from one administration or another, right, it could be a tempting thing. But no, it is still taxpayers' dollars that are paying for all of that, and we're getting good treatment out on the landscape under it. So the next 2 years, very busy under IRA.
Well, congratulations. Again, steering millions of dollars in those resources to our community. That's a dollar that turns over several times.
Oh, definitely. And that's been part of our district leadership team's plan is $1 invested, we want to turn that into $3 when it gets out of our hands into the community. And hopefully this could be a good shot in the arm for a lot of people.
Well, that's fantastic. And that's a great legacy to leave, Gerald.
Oh, yeah.
So, he's smiling. He feels really good about that. So, you definitely are going out on a high note as our district manager with those accomplishments. And I do want to mention, too, that you brought all this together, motivated staff, of which I know that you are always quick to credit. You have an amazing, hardworking staff specialist in so many fields, experts. They're skilled in their writing and the field work that they do. They're well respected and regarded. But you did this through a pandemic, because right about the time you came on.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was worried for a while there because we didn't know, right, what was coming down the chain, especially with government agencies. And when it hit, it was everyone home. You're all max telework. You're not coming to the office. There was 3 of us watching the office. I don't think we had anybody at the Trail Center at the time. Essentially, work was still progressing, but being in the office, that was over for a long time. So there was an amount of recovery from that. And I was worried I'd be the COVID DM for a while there, and I never got to meet face-to-face a lot of new employees in that almost 2-year period. And but worked through that. We got we still do telework, though. It really showed us how efficient we can be with that flexibility. So we still kept a good, strong piece of that. Trail Center, of course, you can't do a lot of that. You guys are there doing your work, being face-to-face and engaging the public. So, that is one thing I do want to highlight is Paul Brownlee, his group, Evie coming on board. And that was a big challenge. If you remember, we didn't have any staff. We were having issues with funding, maintenance. Some of the infrastructure was failing. We had the Trail Center closed due to COVID. And then folks really wanted us to open up, and we couldn't. We had no staff, and we had no heat. So we had to get all of that in place, get people hired, and now, of course, they're on a 5 seasonal and 7 day come summer, and just advanced and accelerated programs, even with limited funding. It really got it to where I think it's at, the peak. I'm sure you guys can improve upon it, but in my time, even being here back when Helen started, Helen Hankins, former DM, I just is an amazing thing that they did so quickly, coming from a spot that was almost impossible, it seemed to me, up late trying to figure a plan to get this open and moving and people hired, yeah.
And you did remark on that. Helen Hankins is still involved in the foundation for California Trail Interpretive Center, following up in the footsteps, literally, if not the wagon wheel ruts. I wanted to, give a shout out to both Amanda Halsey and to, obviously, to Paul, because Paul stood by the center too the whole time, and Evie's nodding, and I know she's going to, because they have such a small staff there, and we're going to highlight some of those accomplishments and talk about what's ahead too. Obviously, California Trail Interpretive Center is just this, jewel in the crown of, I think, local BLM accomplishments and some of the outreach, obviously, that's been done. So as far as what's ahead, you'll come back or you'll talk about it if there's anything we can do to help you. I don't know if there are any outstanding issues that you hope people might continue to care about or to work on in your absence.
One thing that we've been talking about, so we hired a new part of I forgot to mention that piece. So we have, starting about 2 months ago and probably not ending, it's always continuing, about February, we have 14 new people coming, staff. And that's awesome. We're busy, getting them onboarded and helping find a place to live, right? That's tough too. We have a new equipment operator. That's our force account program that we lost it a few years ago, and we're trying to rebuild it. That's the roads maintenance crew, cattle guards, anything infrastructure. So just hired a gentleman to take that up. We were approved to get him an assistant. So we're going to have more of a presence out there. Big arteries. So I think we estimated about 2,000 road miles that we maintain just with the big arteries, right? Like the Deeth to Charleston to Wild Horse, or anything Pilot Valley. We try to take care of first. So one thing I'm asking people is to keep trying to partner with our Forest Service partners, our county people, tribal, and think of that infrastructure and road maintenance piece. And I get it, right? Certain miles you have certain authorities over, and there's liabilities and whatnot and funding attached to it. But where we can be flexible, I'm really hoping people can partner. It's one thing I was not able to get was those formal agreements put together for roads maintenance, which is huge out here with a lot of people living, outside of town and really dependent on having a good road. So the ask I have is when spring comes, if it's not frozen, just give it some time, please, because when the roads get ripped up, that's just adding to a workload where none of us have all the people and funding to get to these critical arteries.
All right. Thanks, Gerald. Those are great parting words. Again, just a reminder of the next chapter that will be upcoming, and we'll get to meet the new interim, I'm sure, district manager. I know you'll be encouraging that person, continuing these community conversations. It's been huge. And thank you again for your generosity and including staff and being transparent and really trusting when the community does have a concern, not to shy away, but you've always been upfront. You've been at almost every county commission meeting. I don't know if you've missed a one, but you're certainly there to address any issues or concerns.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerald.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Gerald is outgoing as district manager of the BLM, but up and coming is Evie Forster from California Trail Interpretive Center. And Evie is the education outreach lead. And so I'm going to turn off Gerald's microphone there, just give you a little rest. And Evie, welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful holiday.
I had an absolutely wonderful holiday. I was able to go back home, spend some time with the family, and now I'm back here working at the Trail Center, and I absolutely love working at the Trail Center and all the programs that we have to offer and coming up. I'm very excited to share with you guys today.
Oh, I'm so glad, Evie. Thank you. You had a stellar holiday season at the Trail Center with Pioneer Christmas, for example. Tell us about that.
Yes, Pioneer Christmas was a very grand event. We had a really great turnout with a lot of people showing up. And we had a lot of activities for the kids and the families to get involved with. We had Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus there reading their story. And I would like to make a big thank you to all the volunteers that helped out, because if it wasn't for those volunteers, our event wouldn't be as big. So thank you so much to all the volunteers, and thank you to everyone for coming out for Pioneer Christmas.
Yeah, that's one thing that California Trail Center has been able to collaborate. You have a lot of community partners, big fans.
Definitely.
Okay. And it's not over. In fact, with the new year, you have some new programs and opportunities coming up.
Yes, we have a variety of different programs coming up. We have archery and atlatl, and those are going to be on January 7th and the 21st at 1 p.m. We have axe and knife throwing, and that's January 14th and 28th at 1 p.m. And then tomorrow at 1 p.m., we have ancient communications with Ranger Glenn, and you'll get a chance to be able to make your own split twig figurine and get your hand at making petroglyphs and learning about the ancient cultures. And then January 13th, which is Saturday at 1 p.m., crochet a cozy for hot cocoa. And you get to make your own cozy that you can put on your cup or mug and be able to drink hot cocoa from. And if you are just a beginner, no worries. Macy is an expert at crocheting, and she can help you out with becoming an expert crocheter at crocheting koozies.
Oh, fun.
And then January 20th, Saturday, at 1 p.m., we'll have hunting slings, and I'll be presenting that program, and we'll be talking about different hunting tools, and you'll be able to make your own hunting sling and practice throwing with marshmallows, and we'll go over safety and all of that too with it. January 27th, Saturday, at 1 p.m., you'll get a chance to learn Morse code. So if you ever wanted to learn Morse code or get that experience, come out to the Trail Center and we'll teach you guys how to do that. And then we'll be ending the month with Nevada Wild 2024 art exhibit reception on January 31st from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So join us at the California Trail Center for the Nevada Wild exhibit kickoff reception, coinciding with the 39th National Cowboy Poetry Gathering. Pieces from several prominent Nevada artists will be exhibited and available for purchase from February 1st through to the end of April. And then we have some cowboy poetry programs that we'll be doing at the Trail Center too. February 1st at 1 p.m. we'll have leather stamping. And then February 2nd, at 1 p.m. we'll have painting poems, where you can write your poem and paint it with watercolor. And then February 3rd at 1 p.m. we'll have braided rugs. So we have a variety of programs coming up. So definitely look us up online or on our Facebook page to keep track of all these programs that we have to offer.
Well, Evie, thank you. That is a fantastic list. And as always, you're always helping promote and partner with whether it's Nevada Outdoor School or Stewardship Group or any outdoor club or entity. Great Basin College, you've done some things, I think, at the Senior Center. I mean, there's just so many opportunities. And as you said, cowboy poetry is next on the list.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you. Trail Center is located just 8 miles west of Elko. You just take the Hunter exit off I-80. It takes, 6-7 minutes to get there? I mean, it's a quick little trip. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a quick drive. I drive every morning, and it's very easy to get there. So definitely recommend, if you don't know what to do on the weekend or don't know what to do on a Saturday, come out to the Trail Center, see what programs we have to offer, or even just have fun exploring the Visitor Center too.
Yeah, lots of exhibits, exciting ways to learn about history. Kids, families, people just love the Have you noticed that? They love the center.
Oh yeah, people love the Trail Center. And not only that, we also have a Junior Ranger program where you guys can come out and fill out the Junior Ranger book and get a badge. Or you can also do a scavenger hunt where you try and find all the animals and the elephants, and you get a fun sticker with that one too.
Cool. And if you can't figure out why there's an elephant at the California Trail Interpretive Center, you're going to have to go. You're going to have to see the elephant and experience it for yourself, right?
Definitely.
All right. Well, Evie, thank you. You waited patiently, and you did it so well with your boss sitting here right by you. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and it doesn't go unnoticed for me. We've got the juxtaposition of someone who's pretty new in her career, and
Yeah, definitely. I'm new in my career, but I did work previously seasonally as a National Park Service ranger and got to move around a lot. And then I ended up here in Elko, and I feel really grateful to be able to work out here in Elko at the California Trail Center because we are able to do such a variety and diversity of programs, and we have a lot of flexibility with that too. And that's why I love my position so much, because I get to do everything from these programs all the way to education programs with schools. The list is endless for everything that I get to do there.
Well, we are lucky to have you, Evie. Thank you so much. And isn't that exciting, Gerald, to be sitting next to Evie here at the beginning of her career, and with you, leaving after nearly 30. I mean, we can only hope the most for her, too.
Yeah, that's right. I talk about the continuity of operations, and right now it's all download and making sure that we have those transitions. And again, I mentioned, well, Evie's one of them, but the 14 new coming, and I may not even ever meet those people. And the influence that we've had, a hopefully good influence, right, throughout those years. I like to think that we've had good influence as a district leadership team wherever we've been. But I'm excited, with the new people coming in, and what a challenging mission they have. Even in my time, it was tough, but going forward, it's really going to be a challenge for folks. And the folks coming in are vastly smarter than I feel like than I was coming in.
Well, maybe with a crowd like that, we should even do an informal reception. We'll follow up and maybe see we can all get together down at the DLC. Welcome 14 people. It'll be so much fun.
It's a big spike, and there's more coming under like the IRA and some other initiatives. If we get people hired at the right time, and you're going to see a big spike and surge in hiring here.
Yeah, and that's the services they provide, and at the same time, they're also enhancing the local economy, as you said, with that purchasing power, plus the benefit of professionals who are as passionate and dedicated and enthusiastic as Evie. And they'll create a legacy just like you have for us, Gerald.
Yeah.